Hello and welcome to another War Thunder video. Today I'm flying the B-17E in a historical battle. In War Thunder, historical battle being a rather loose term, as B-17s could not fly carrier-based missions. However, this actually turned into a pretty fun mission. I tried a new tactic of taking out enemy dive bombers and kamikazes, as well as getting into a back-and-forth slugfest with another enemy heavy bomber. This kind of leads me to my first point I'd like to make, and that is historical battles could use a bit of tweaking in this manner, as I would have not selected this aircraft had I known I'd be playing on the Iwo Jima map. And I'm sure that when this happens, it's frustrating to more people than just myself. I think that an easy way around it would be to let the game's tier system come into effect. So what I mean by that is we're all familiar with the matchmaking tiering system in the game, where there's tier 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, so on and so forth. I think that you should be able to use any aircraft within that tier you select in the game. If that makes any sense, what I mean is, since I've selected the B-17E here, which is rank 13, and that falls under the 12 and 13 ranked aircraft matchmaking, I should be able to use any rank 12 or 13 aircraft that's in my hangar for that particular historical battle. So when I want to fly B-17 and bomb the crap out of stuff, but I get stuck in the Iwo Jima map or another Pacific Theater map where there's not a ton of bombing targets or the ability to rearm, I should then be able to select another aircraft that falls under that rank 12 or 13 tier, like for instance my F4 Corsair. So let me know in the comments below if you think that I'm onto something here, or if you have your own ideas how to help improve the historical battle, post those as well. Now with all that being said, getting stuck as a B-17 on these Pacific Theater maps actually isn't a total and utter lost cause. The aircraft isn't nicknamed the Flying Fortress for nothing, it's just covered in machine guns. And it's kind of funny because that nickname actually wasn't coined by Boeing, but rather adopted after a reporter used that expression when he first saw the airplane. And like its real life counterpart, this thing can take a beating, particularly in historical battles when enemy players don't have unlimited cannon ammo to throw at you. Now this is particularly true against the Japanese Air Force, whose airplanes are relatively lightly armed compared to others that you'll fly against. Due to the vast distances that needed to be covered in the Pacific Theater, Japanese aircraft were designed to be as light and fuel efficient as possible. Any extra weight that could be cut to allow for more gas was done. Many of the Japanese aircraft had little to no armor for the pilots or the engine, making them as light and maneuverable as possible. This makes them a little bit more susceptible to regular machine gun fire, particularly from the gunner emplacements on the B-17. Also to help save on weight, Japanese aircraft tended to carry a lot less ammunition than say the Americans, particularly for their cannons. Now for those two reasons, it's really difficult and dangerous for Japanese pilots to take down aircraft such as the B-17. For one, if they don't make those cannon shots count, they're not going to take the aircraft down before they run out of ammo. And two, because they're so susceptible to light caliber fire, they get shot down very easily by the gun emplacements on the B-17 or other bombers. Now this is actually historically accurate to some degree. Japanese aircraft had a very difficult time engaging the high-flying, heavily armed B-29 super fortresses. So like I was saying, it's not a complete lost cause to be stuck as a bomber in these situations, particularly if you're heavily armed. I remember I was playing one match where I was the last plane standing versus 2 Zeros and 2 AI aircraft. Both of the Zeros came and tried to shoot me down and just kind of lingered on my tail, and I was actually able to shoot them down extremely easily. And then for the last remaining AI planes, I actually just chased them around and let my gunner shoot them down. So let's get back to this gameplay. With 4 AI players aside, and me being stuck as a heavy bomber, I figured I'd try out some new tactics. If you're familiar with the Iwo Jima map, you know that if you're playing as the US, you've got to deal with these enemy dive bombers and kamikazes. And since I'm flying this giant battleship in the sky, I figure I'd try and put that to the best use possible. Here I just go charging headlong into these enemy dive bombers and kamikazes and let my gunners go to work. I figured the best strategy would be to dive kind of underneath them to give myself the best line of shot on these aircraft. You see, I just start landing hit after hit, and once they get directly behind me, I'm able to put some really good shots in the engines and take them out relatively quickly. You can even see here, like, these aircraft only have, I think, 30 caliber machine guns, and they're not really doing a ton of damage to my bomber. I am taking some hits, but nothing critical. I think that after making this pass, I shoot down like 5 enemy aircraft. So it actually proves to be a pretty successful tactic, at least against AI, obviously, because you can see here, they're not trying at all to dodge my fire. They only actually break formation when they go on their attack runs. There goes one there. shooting another one. You can see just how susceptible these lightly armored planes are to the 50 caliber bullets. He's a little bit at the extreme range, but I still get a few hits on him. I think he actually, yep, I get him. There he goes. Just explodes in midair. Once I made it through that entire cloud, I figured I'd circle around and try and pick off a few more, whatever dive bombers actually didn't kamikaze into ships. When I see an enemy heavy bomber attacking our ships as well. It was a G5, I think it's called. It's just a massive, massive airplane. So at this point, I figure I could probably dive underneath of them. I've got the speed advantage, get out in front, and just like let my machine guns go to work and probably shoot him down pretty easily as he's damaged there. But figure since I'm not really taking this game seriously, I'd go for a nice little troll kill. So my initial plan here was to swoop down, get right over top of him, and then see if I could bomb him with my bomb load here. Now unfortunately, he's got his machine gun placements aced out, or at least upgraded. You can tell by the fancy colored tracer bullets that are coming out. So he's got some really accurate gunners, and he's able to disable one of my engines right off the bat. So at that point I start losing too much power and I'm not going to be able to make it to make my bomb run. So instead I'm relegated to just swooping down here and trying to put as much damage into him as possible. And you're really going to see just how tough this bomber is. So we're just sitting here, it reminds me of like Spanish galleons, just like duking it out in the sea, just lining up next to each other and letting their cannons rip in until one ship sinks first. Right here I'm just trying to shoot as many bullets into his engines as possible, try and get him lit on fire. And at this point I think I'm about to just go down in flames, and then my plane actually levels off. Now he's a little bit out of range, so I decided to cut the power back because I want him to catch up to me. I've got the advantage being out in front, so that gives me the ability to put a lot of shots into directly into those radial engines. Just gonna cut the power back a little bit. Got that one dead engine there. I'm smoking pretty good. You can see my fuselage is black, my wing is black, that one engine's black, and everything else is a nice deep red. Although he's not doing too well himself. He's got a dead engine as well. There's a lot of really good shots here. Some good hits there on that his right engine, right outermost engine. Now I think that if I had upgraded gunners in my bomber, I would have taken him out already by this point, because I've just hit him so much, and that whole stint he was barely getting any shots on my aircrafts. Because I don't know that airplane too well, but I don't think it has a ton of forward-facing gunners. So here my other wing goes black, and I have lost all control. I'm ending up going into a unrecoverable dive here, but I've left him completely and utterly on fire, and he will actually end up crashing shortly after I do. You can see him there, pretty torn up. See, I was able to select a friendly AI aircraft who was close enough for me to track the progress of that bomber, and he's about to blow up any second now. Anyways, me and the guy were talking in the chat just about how epic and fun that was to take two heavy bombers head to head like that and just duke it out. There he goes, right into the ground. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps. Also leave a comment below. I really like engaging with my viewers and subscribers. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.